Violence is taboo in the most traditional and the best martial arts traditions. Whether it was the capoeiras, who consisted of a whole lot of Igbos, the over 1.5 million Igbos that came from Biafra land to the Americas, as it has been estimated by the professor T.J. Dush Obi and his sources, to the Igbos in Haiti, the Haitian Revolution, and so on. And when you look at the Shaolin monks, who are given credit for originating most of the modern martial arts styles we see practiced in America today, if not highly influencing them, because their moves are variations of Shaolin Kung Fu techniques typically. African martial arts are the source of all martial arts. So when one considers what it means to be a martial artist, certainly senseless violence is not part of the martial arts accompanying code. I've shown you time and time again how it is taboo. For those of you who don't understand what that means, it is outright rejected. It is more than just frowned upon. It is blasphemous, which is a good synonym for taboo. You know, it is just socially unacceptable, to say the least, to have senseless violence. That's why the Igbos emphasize grappling as forms of dueling and competition, because of the lack of bloodshed, while they emphasized striking and sword fighting and weapons when it came time for combat. I don't do sports competition. I don't participate in senseless violence. I consider myself holier and closer to God and more spiritual than all the Shaolin monks that have ever existed put together. Think about that for a second. I have made thousands of videos pertaining to morality, and some of them outright about morality and honor, virtue, valor, being noble, being ethical, having your scruples intact, your values. On so many levels, it defies martial arts tradition to have senseless violence. However, or sports-related violence, or violence for the sake of competition, that is why sparring is the closest thing to actual combat while maintaining honor. I've gone through the physics of it with you time and time again. Force equals mass times acceleration. I've explained to you over and over again what martial arts actually are for. They're combat. It's not about who hits the hardest, who's the strongest, who can take the most of a hit. It's about using your technique to outmaneuver someone. If you cannot strike someone first consistently, how can you then turn around and say that you are a better martial artist than that person? That is insane. That is like losing, 9 out of 10 sprints against someone and breaking even the 10th time and saying that that doesn't mean anything. That is the whole point. Ironically, the word point, no pun intended, the point of a spear, the point of a blade, the point of an edged weapon. If you cannot block kicks and punches, how the hell are you going to block weapons, light weapons flying through the air at you just as fast, if not faster? How are you going to do it? You can't even block people with punches and kicks, who are wearing sparring gear. How are you going to do it? What it means to be the top martial artist is to have cultivated and achieved a certain level of conditioning that allows you to have a superior set of transferable, translatable, communicable, convertible, and universal skills. Thinking you're big, strong, and tough is not going to mean anything. I mean, we have to first look at who the martial artists are and who they aren't for you to understand my point. With all due respect, UFC fighters are not martial artists. What they're doing is dishonorable. They are fighters. It is very painful. It takes a lot of physical conditioning and a certain degree of mental conditioning. Absolutely. Absolutely. But they've removed the spiritual conditioning, which makes them just as guilty as psychiatrists who pretend that religion and spirituality lead to mental illness instead of help one balance their mind, body, and soul when applied correctly and truthfully. For the same reason mental health will always be wrong, because of the lack of a true underlying philosophy, is the same reason the sports fighter, the bare knuckle fighter, the street fighter will never be a true martial artist. They will be a true sports fighter. They will be a true UFC fighter if that's what they are. They will be a true bare knuckle boxer if that's what they are. And mind you, from my perspective, it is disgraceful. However, I'm not stupid. I know that people love sports. Quite often they love sports more than they love martial arts. Compare how popular basketball, baseball, and football are to martial arts, for example. However, when you're talking martial arts, you must consider morality, codes of spirituality, and honor. The accompanying moral code. That's how it's described by Professor Obi. Because it comes with it. It's attached to it. It's a package deal. That is like going to church just to drink water and leaving. There are rituals, typically, right? It's supposed to be holy water. Once you remove what is sacred from martial arts, it's no longer martial arts. Just like when you remove what is sacred from Christianity and you compromise for the government, it's no longer Christianity. It is now a building or an institution of oppression. The most important aspect of martial arts is the accompanying moral code. Make no mistake. That is like having a military, right? And you say, we're going to train you to shoot and kill, but we're not going to give you orders. We're not going to have you fall in line. We're not going to tell you what to do. Do what you want. Go out and shoot each other for fun. Go make money killing each other for all we care. It's like the whole point behind it is what, connects them together, what unifies them, what makes it the military. The accompanying moral code, the traditions are what makes it martial arts. Now, I'm not saying that UFC should shut down or that people should stop watching it. I'm not saying that. Render unto the UFC fighters that which is theirs. Pay them what they're worth. Give them their credit. Give them their women. Render unto Caesar that which is his. Render unto anybody. Give the worker his wages. And by all means, render unto Chukwu Emeka the title which he has earned. No martial artist in the history of this nation can say that they've done something comparable to what I have done. I mean, they have tried to play me out, drive me crazy. I mean, that by itself, slowing down my videos, trying to drive me crazy, depriving me of nutritious food by itself would make my challenge the most respectable one in history. Ask the government who the fuck I am. But when you add the fuming, the drugging, on record, on psych meds with videos that prove it, showing my psych medications, showing the paperwork from the psych ward. When you add the dehydration, my goodness, render unto Chukwu Emeka that which is his. Now, I will say that, if this was a wrestling match, I would not do too well. Pretty much every heavyweight in the UFC almost certainly can beat me at wrestling. I have no problem admitting that. A man must accept people who do things related to martial arts that are more talented than he is and respect them. A lot of them are stronger than I am. Some of them probably even hit harder than I do. And certainly almost all of them are better wrestlers and grapplers than I am. I can live with that. But I also do insist that it would never get to that point. For the same reason I just explored the word point. The point you score on somebody. The whole point of martial arts and the point of an edged weapon. These things are connected when we're talking martial arts. Point fighting, ironically, is a, what do they call it? Double entendre, right? You don't want them to score that point, because then that means they could have put a point into you. The point of an edged weapon. And like I said in the beginning, and I'll end it by saying this. If you cannot block somebody, if you cannot consistently strike someone, rather, before they strike you, wearing sparring gear, on the grass, for example, then how in ancient combat are you going to avoid a knife? If you can't stop me from kicking you in the stomach, how are you going to stop me from stabbing you? And let's not forget, there's also elbows and knees and headbutts. The bare minimum, you need to be able to do is block 4 things. There's only 4 things you have to block. And you have 4 things to strike someone with. If this was actual combat, you'd have to worry about my fastened elbows from different angles, my knees, my headbutt, right? If you do not have the mental conditioning to block someone wearing sparring gear, okay, having to cover that distance, well, all you have to do is move your body a little bit to block it. And then strike them first. How the hell are you going to do it with weapons? So anyone who doesn't see the relevance between that and weapons is really, really lost. And the best argument they make is automatically nullified. For example, they'll say, well, I challenge you to sword combat. No, it's not about a specific weapon. It's about universal skills. Being the best fencer makes you the best fencer. Being the best, with a battle axe makes you the best axeman or whatever, But when we're talking martial artists, you're talking universal skills as they pertain to striking. Understand the whole point. Point sparring and the point of an edged weapon. Thank you.